Clap sync? You don't like clap syncs, eh? Ow. I promise you, if you wear this to school, you will not get bullied. That's a stamp of approval by me. As Jake Paul once said, you know what's better than being nice? Naughty. I mean, at least I think he said that. He probably did, let's be honest. Okay, stop thinking about this insipid waste of a skeleton. Let's talk about something a little bit better. Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is probably one of the most well-known gaming companies in the entire world. And I'm not just saying that because it has my favorite games on it. I'm saying it as an implicit fact. If any game falls under the top 10 categories of a random.com website, then you know it's good. But this gaming company had a naughty little secret. They were originally called Jam Software. Not really a naughty secret, but it's hard. You try writing jokes once in a while, okay?
Well, of course it's hard to write jokes when you've got the brain capacity of a 2-month-old harlequin, baby.
Yeah, well, the people that like my videos clearly think my jokes are the peak edge of comedy.
Yeah, good. That's great. How long did it take you to make this video again?
Okay, you know I have a hard time committing to things when you're up my ass 24/7.
Oh, look at this privileged Mayo boy complaining about depression and commitment issues. Wah. Go drown yourself in a sea of Team Fortress 2 and stale memes like you always do, you three-chinned mouth breather, you remedial deficit.
Are you done? Okay, can I get back to making this video, please, for my beautiful audience?
Yeah, fair enough. I think you've got your fair share of self-deprecation for today.
Same time tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be here. I'm always here.
I always like to see how AAA big media companies always got their start in the industry. Blizzard had this abomination of a game. Insomniac had Disruptor, and Naughty Dog had Math Jam? Yes, Naughty Dog, who is now famously known for making Uncharted, Jak and Daxter, and The Last of Us, started off by making an educational game for the Apple II in 1985 called Math Jam. The only thing that I was able to find about this game are that the two owners and the only workers, Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin, wanted to implement this game into schools across the country. In order to get this put into schools, they had to get a bunch of signatures from psychologists and teachers from a bunch of different schools. So they were all like, frick that, and they scuttled along to make very well and popular known games, Dream Zone, Keep the Thief, and Rings of Power. Did I say well known? I meant no one knows a damn thing about these games. I'm pretty sure it's like opposite day when I'm recording this right now. But if it is opposite day, then that would mean I'm lying, because then that would flip it around and say it was an opposite day. But if it was an opposite day and I did say it was opposite day, then that would mean I'm lying too. So if I had... But after all those games that Naughty Dog made, they eventually created a brand new IP called Crash Bandicoot. But do you know who else had an amazing brand new IP for the PlayStation 1? Insomniac with Spyro the Dragon. At the time, Sony PlayStation was looking for mascots that could rival the absolute monoliths that were Mario and Sonic. But at the time of creation, no one really knew how big Crash and then Spyro were really going to be for the PlayStation 1. These games sold so well that they even both broke the top 20 most sold PS1 games of all time. Crash Bandicoot currently holds the 8th spot with almost 7 million copies sold, and Spyro holds the 18th spot with almost 5 million games sold. But just because one game sold more copies than the other, that does not necessarily mean that one game is actually better than the other. So, in the realm of Crash versus Spyro, let's find out which one is actually better. A few years later, after Jam Software's Math Jam, they changed their name over to Naughty Dog in 1989. And then a few years later, in May 1996, Naughty Dog was invited to Electronic Entertainment Expo, called by a few stupid people called E3, but no one really calls it that, so who cares? They released an announcement for a brand new video game called Crash Bandicoot.
I like to say, what is this Crash Bandicoot? It sounds like a rip-roaring good time, right?
Well, you slack-jawed, window-licking, jowl-mouthed slut lips, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a brand new 3D platformer for the PlayStation 1, and as we all know, the PlayStation 1 at the time was very well known for their 3D games. What with games like this?
still here.
And games like this.
Crash and the Bobcat escaped! Woohoo!
Come on, mouse, and I'll break your fucking legs.
How could you not be prepared for something amazing? So the PlayStation 1 did not have a good track record with 3D games due to its limited capabilities. But that didn't stop Naughty Dog from releasing Crash Bandicoot on September 9th, 1996.
Go home, gamer girl.
It got so many great reviews, one of which being from my good friend Bobby, who said things like, yo, Crash is pretty banging. And I was like, dude, don't say that, my mom saw. So I was born in 1997, so I didn't have the initial impact of this game when it first came out. That doesn't mean I didn't absorb all of the essential juices just pouring from this game. Oh, fuck, oh, God. Crash Bandicoot was amazing with critics and reviewers, but everyone really knows that video game critics aren't really the best place to go for video game reviews.
There are no good Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Fantastic level design.
Sonic is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So, the visuals.
Boy!
Like I said, the PlayStation 1 isn't really known for its artistic achievements. Now keep in mind, most games at the time were either 2D or 2.5D, where they had 3D models, but you could only work in a 2D axis. And if it was 3D, they kind of looked like they came straight out of an LSD simulator. I think the earliest iconic 3D game that I can think of is Doom. Doom was released for the Sega 32X and the Atari Jaguar on November 21st and November 28th respectively in 1994. While Doom isn't necessarily a perfect 3D environment, it's still not just an average side-scroller. You can go backwards, left, right, diagonal, and you can even go upstairs. So when most good-looking 3D games are for other consoles, and your 3D games for the PlayStation 1 look like a detailed, horrifying flapjack picture, it makes it that much more amazing looking at Crash Bandicoot. If you grew up playing NES as a child, and then you grew up to see these 3D platformer games, you would have to have a bucket attached to the inside of your thighs by how drenched you'd be. I mean, come on. You gotta admit this is cool. Now, visuals aside, this was still a brand new territory for Naughty Dog. You can have the most stunning and beautifully looking game in the world, but it can still perform like a bag of donkey dicks.
Will the game be fun? No.
What truly matters is if it has actually good gameplay. If a game has low quality visuals, then the gameplay can redeem it. But if a game has bad gameplay, then the visuals can barely redeem it. So, the visuals for Crash Bandicoot, all I can describe it as is revolutionary. With a game like Crash Bandicoot and the PlayStation 1's limitations, you really have to figure out where you're going to put all your polygons and how to utilize them correctly. Now, Crash Bandicoot had so many polygons in it that Naughty Dog actually had to figure out how they were going to put this all into a game correctly. So Naughty Dog, they had to get a little bit sneaky. Now, to maximize the number of polygons that the PlayStation 1 was able to render, they had to have environmental stuff that were behind other larger polygons, not rendered. This is why Crash Bandicoot is so unique, because most of other games, they decided to have polygons that were super far away, either not render, have lower polygon counts, or fade into fog. Now, considering the year this was made, the console that it was for, and the monolithic problem that Naughty Dog was able to overcome, I'm going to give the visuals for this game a solid 9 out of 10. The only negative I have about this game is that a lot of the assets were recycled a lot. If you were to take two similar levels and you were to put them together, I guarantee you that it would be very, very difficult to find which level is which. But unfortunately, not only that, the color scheme isn't really that diverse. It just focuses a lot around dark and somber colors, which is actually the reason why Crash is as bright as he is. He was made bright in orange and blue so he could contrast against the really dark colors, so you could always see where Crash is at any given time. He doesn't blend into the background. But you don't have to have one palette of colors. I'm just really glad that they were able to change this for future Crash installments. So, gameplay. Crash Bandicoot is a linear 3D platformer. You play as a failed Bandicoot experiment captured by two evil scientists, Dr. Nitrous Brio and Dr. Neocortex. After you escape from their laboratory, it is shown another female Bandicoot, Crash's girlfriend Tawna, is still being held captive. It is now your job to go and rescue her in the stereotypical princess recovery video game trope, and it's time for you to score some of that Bandicoot coochie. I think I'm the first person ever to use the sentence Bandicoot Coochie, and I'm okay with that. The levels start off pretty easy. Jump on some enemies, collect some lives, break some boxes, and be on your merry way. However, later in the game, the developers were scratching their asses going, how can I fill someone up with so much rage that they decided to take their Toyota Camry, go down to Times Square, and just go 90 miles an hour down the middle of a sidewalk. As soon as you get halfway through the second island, the game basically bends you over and forces you to make all those faces that you see on that Aniego hoodie. If you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. If you do know what it is, I hope your parents are proud of you. You can play the entire game just going from point A to point B, not really caring about what happens. But if you break every single box inside a game, you get something called a gem. Gems are not necessary to complete the game, but if you collect them all, you get a nice little secret ending. Oh, what's that? You actually want to get 100% in the game? Oh, I'm so silly. I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry. I'm a daft fool. It's so easy. All you gotta do is break every single box in every single level. You have to break every single box in every level without dying in those levels.
But that's not that hard.
I hear your naive little dumbass shouting in the distance like you have some sort of authority here. You see this right here? This is a broken man right here. He is so broken that he should be put on an FBI watch list. Do you know what it's like to get so close to finishing a level only to die at the very end and you have to restart it all over? Sorry, Daddy got a little stressed out there for a second. Throughout these levels, you have 3 different tokens that you can collect. You have 3 Tana tokens, 3 Embryo tokens, or 3 Cortex tokens. As soon as you collect 3 of a set, you get sent to a bonus level. The bonus levels are pretty easy, but the Tana levels are about as easy as your mom when I have $16 and a plate of Popeye's biscuits.
These biscuits is
At the end of the Tana stage, you can save your game and you get a nice password for that level you just beat. Some of us poor souls didn't have the luxury of having a 1 megabyte PlayStation memory card, so we either had to rely on the passwords or leaving the game on 24/7. The feeling of leaving that game on when you go to bed and then waking up to it turned off. Ooh. Rage. At the end of the Cortex stages, Cortex drops a key which unlocks a bonus level in one of the islands. Some of the levels require you to get a colored gem, which is needed to get all the boxes in a level. And let me tell you, you thought dying before the end of the level was frustrating? Try living through the entire level only to be told at the end of the level there was a colored gem that you had to have in order to get all the boxes. Pain. As frustrating as it is, the gameplay is very, very good. Its difficulty curve is very steep, and what separates like the casual gamers from the pro gamers is a lot for this game. Just like the visuals, I think the gameplay deserves a solid 9 out of 10. It's very easy to understand and very straightforward. It's so straightforward that even you can understand it. Got him. I actually know people that decide to set their game to easy mode just so they can just plow right through the game and have no sort of resistance. Those people are probably in Guantanamo Bay right now because those kinds of sociopaths don't deserve to live in our society. So, the music for Crash. Now, music is completely subjective. I can take complete masterpieces like It's Everyday Bro and Litmus and think they're bad, even though everyone thinks that they're very good. So I'm sorry if you're upset with my final decision, but as the great Ben Shapiro once said, I'm short and my facts hurt your feelings. It's pretty easy to have your music fit your environment for a video game. Like if you're having some sort of jungle level, have some sort of marimba play. If you're on a beach level, have some sort of steel drums. If you have an underwater level, have the screams of the eternal suffering. But where the difficulty sits in is that the music fits with the level itself. Like if it's dark, do you have some sort of quiet and mysterious music to it? If you're fighting a final boss, do you have something that's upbeat and repetitive and has some sort of sense of urgency to it? Or do you play it low and slow and methodical and have just some sort of uncertainty and dread just looming over you the entire time you're playing this level? Crash Bandicoot is able to do this extremely well, especially with the boss music. The boss music. However, a lot of the music in the regular levels are kind of dull and lackluster.
Snore!
I understand that not every level has to be filled to the brim with high tempo and intensity, with 100 different instruments playing at the same time, with crazy different melodies and harmonics. But hey, some people might prefer the minimalism of the regular levels compared to the complex boss music, and that's fine too. With all that being said, I give the music for Crash an 8.5 out of 10. But what about Crash's counterpart? He's purple, he's a dragon, Okay, Spyro, we're gonna talk. This freaking game right here. If Crash Bandicoot was my childhood, then Spyro, it was also my childhood. Both of these games here shaped me into the slightly functioning adult. Both of these games shaped me into the slightly functioning adult I am today. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, unlike Naughty Dog, Insomniac, the creator of Spyro, released only one game before they made Spyro called Disruptor, which came out on November 20th, 1996. It was a first-person shooter game not too dissimilar to Doom, but we're not going to talk about that game. If I was going to be talking about that game, I would have put Disruptor vs. Crash Bandicoot in the title, but I didn't. I am a professional. Now, since this is only Insomniac's second game, there's not really that much history to it. One thing that I think you all really need to know is that when Insomniac sold the rights of Spyro over to Universal, they started working on a game called Girl with a Stick. I have no joke to say here. I just wanted to let you guys know that a gaming company decided to start working on a game and they called it Girl with a Stick. Moving on, now this game. This game right here, just whoo. If you didn't know, this game was also revolutionary. They even pioneered a level of detail for objects being rendered at a distance without using something called fog. To better understand how revolutionary and groundbreaking Spyro was in the graphics department, I'm just going to show you a few games that came out around the same time for the PlayStation 1. What was one thing that you saw that all these games have in common? Oh, you just disgusting freak. No, I was talking about the games being very closed quarters. These are all extremely popular PlayStation 1 games that still manage to create 3D games despite the PlayStation 1's limitations. But take those games, remove the walls, remove the ceilings, and zoom the camera out a bit, and I don't really think that these games are going to be able to pull off the same amazing feat. Even look at the #1 most sold PlayStation 1 game ever, Gran Turismo. 3D, extremely open, and a fantastic depth of rendering, but look at the gameplay. Almost nothing is moving. Now compare those 3D games to something like Spyro, and This game on this system, no one has ever been able to pull off something like this before. Spyro was so innovative that they actually created their own coding system to boost and enhance their draw distances. This basically means how far you're able to see things and see objects before they start getting rendered. Like, you may be able to see a far distance away, but the objects in the distance won't start getting rendered until you get closer. Games like Spider-Man would have objects in the distance fade through a layer of fog when you got closer to them, but not Spyro. This guy, this beautiful man right here, Alex Hastings, he created his own thorough engine just for this game. Can we just... And that's what this is all about. I'm sorry that I'm gushing over the graphics in this game so much, but honestly, can you blame me? I just love this kind of stuff so much. innovation, and nothing but your own creativity to hold you back or push you forward to create new and exciting things. If they didn't let Alex do the things that he wanted to do and create his own engine, the world would probably be filled with black market terrorists and Hollywood kid diddlers and a disease that's infecting the entire globe on a pandemic. Oh wait, I give the visuals of Spyro a 10 out of 10. Not only did they set a standard to how far you can push the graphical limitations of the PlayStation 1, but they set that bar super high. Everything just looks amazing. The skyboxes are beautiful, the dragons are diverse, and they change models to every world you go to. Every level is crafted to the world that you're currently in without a hint of repetition. Spyro definitely places in my top 5 PlayStation 1 games that have the best visuals of all time. Just like Crash, Spyro is a 3D platformer. Spyro and Crash are very similar in the fact that they're both kind of collectathons, where in Crash you break boxes to get gems, but in Spyro you release dragons, you collect eggs, and collect gems to get 100%. The main villain, Nasty Nork, decided to crystallize each dragon because...
Nasty Nork is a simp.
Because he was called ugly, simple, and told that he wasn't a threat over TV. I don't see a problem with that conviction if you don't. When the kid you're roasting in class reaches into his backpack. Now it is your job to release all 80 crystallized dragons, collect 14,000 in treasure, and various dragon eggs scattered across the worlds. But you can't go through every level without collecting at least some of the stuff. Because every single time that you want to go to the next world, you have to talk to this balloon boy, and he'll tell you exactly what you need to collect in order to go to the next world. All in all, the gameplay is very simple, and it's very, very easy to get 100%, except for getting these gems on this. I don't know why they made this part so difficult when it's literally just... every world has a flight level where you basically tell Spyro to dive into the nearest building, where you have an infinite amount of flying abilities, and you have to destroy or fly through 4 different objects within the allotted time. I don't recommend these levels if you're susceptible to high blood pressure, because when that time starts ticking down and you're hearing those sounds... Oh! Tell me, who was the Emperor of China in 1658? I don't know. Why do I have to know this? I don't understand why I gotta know this. I'm just in high school. Hurry. Time's running out. I don't know. Why am I gonna get it out for something that doesn't even matter, that I don't even have to know, that's never gonna help me in real life? Once you achieve 100%, you are granted with the final bonus level called Nasty's Loot. One last flight stage, but it's a little bit different. It requires a lot more effort to get the last 2,000 gems. And once you collect those last 2,000 gems, you finally get 100% in the game. So all in all, I think I'm going to give the gameplay about an 8 out of 10. The gameplay, like I said, it's just too easy. Unlike Crash Bandicoot, there really is no added difficulty to get 100% in the game. Where Crash is more linear and straightforward and a lot more difficult, Spyro was made to be more open world but still be a linear platformer, but it doesn't really have the attention-grabbing gameplay. I can play Spyro with 15 drinks in me, a left arm missing, and my right foot inside someone else's mouth, but for Crash, you have to be a certified neurosurgeon with the amount of concentration you need. So again, I'm gonna have to give Spyro's gameplay an 8 out of 10. Remember how I said it's relatively easy to have music fit its environment, but it's still very difficult to make it sound good?
No.
Well, for the Spyro team, it's easier than your mom. For those of you that didn't know, the lead composer for the original trilogy of Spyro was Stuart Copeland, who's the drummer of a very famous 70s and 80s rock band called The Police. If the band doesn't ring any bells, you've definitely heard their music before. You've probably heard Message in a Bottle, Roxanne, and Every Breath You Take. With this man leading the forefront with this kind of resume, you know these songs are going to be pretty okay. Being a drummer for most of my life and drumming to a lot of great music that's from The Police or bands like Rush, I'm going to be honest, I am a little bit biased in this department. Stuart Copeland uses his extensive knowledge to create a phenomenally digestible soundtrack for a rated E game. Not only was he able to create music that kids can enjoy, but he was also able to create music that adults can appreciate. I love the Spyro soundtrack so much that I actually listen to it when I'm driving, when I'm working, or when I'm playing video games at twitch.tv, link you can find in the description. My most memorable and favorite song out of Spyro the Dragon has to be, without a doubt, Treetops. Because if you were anything like me when I first played this game, before there was YouTube, before there was cheat code sites, you would know how infuriating it is to get those green and red. I never got too mad because I knew that as soon as I died, I would be greeted with that beautiful beginning of that sweet, sweet music. God, come on, man! I'm still pissed though. He's able to take soundtracks so complex and make them fit into the worlds and bring them to life. Like I said, not only does the music sound absolutely amazing while you're playing the game, but you can listen to it wherever you want and still jam out to it. And I don't think that's something you can say about Crash Bandicoot. I cannot find any flaws in the music, and I wholeheartedly give it a 10 out of 10. All in all, these games are absolute masterpieces that stood the test of time, as evidenced to these latest trilogy remakes. The remakes were so good that you could even make the argument that they started this surge of remakes that we're seeing right now. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, who cares if the market's just completely saturated in remakes and battle royale games? Why make new AAA games when you can just pump out remakes and Fortnite clones all the time? Money machine go brrr. Sorry for getting off track there. That's possibly another rant for another day. Leave a like if you want to see Peter's downward descent into madness. But looking at the stats, I'm gonna have to give the crown to my boy Spyro. Even though the gameplay is pretty easy and straightforward for myself, the mechanics, the visuals, and the music absolutely send it over the top. Why is there a fucking bug on my... Why is there a bug on my laptop? Ugh. The gameplay is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it can be expanded upon. Like, have missions in each level and have Spyro beat those missions to collect things in order to progress in the game. I don't know, maybe to have those collectibles be like spheroid and maybe like green or something with yellow rings around it, like an orb or something. I don't know. If you like what you see, hit that like button and subscribe to my OnlyFans. Shout out to ChrisRayGun for providing these amazing voice lines. They turned out way better than I expected. He used to do a lot of hyperbolic political satire videos, but now he does a lot of hilarious hyperbolic hot takes on trending viral topics. I highly recommend his dating websites video. It had me rolling.
I'll check it out. They've got a whole tab dedicated to polls. Let's check this one out. Do you like it when your diaper leaks?
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Thank you so much for watching my video. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.